The Persuader is a decently well-known villain from DC, especially if you read Legion of Superheroes or Superman comics, being a future threat of the Legion with his axe that can cut through anything, even the concept of space and time. The character is a member of the Fatal Five, being named Neon-Shu-Ti, I think that's how you pronounce it, and is one of the very few human villains of the Legion, opposed to their mainly alien rogues gallery. But did you know that there was a female Persuader in the late 2000s, named Ellis Kimball? She would make her first appearance in Teen Titans issue 56 from 2008, although at the very end of the issue. Kid Devil is ambushed by the villain Dreadbolt, only to be met with an entire team of villains, consisting of a new Clock King, a new Copperhead, a new Disruptor, and a new Persuader. These are the Terror Titans, a villainous version of the Teen Titans. Which, by the way, is an idea that this run was obsessed with, because we had another evil version of the Teen Titans in issue 43 led by Deathstroke, that being the East Team, who we've actually made videos on two members of. Sun Girl, the firebending nemesis of Ms. Martian, and Enigma, the girl who claimed to be Riddler's daughter. The Terror Titans will be an arc that would last from issues 56 to 60. The Persuader in this arc wouldn't be shown to do all that much, but would be shown following Clock King's every word, in issue 57 being sent with Copperhead to Titan's Tower where she would tie up Marvin and Wendy, along with trying to fight Rose Wilson, who managed to take them both down pretty easily. The Persuader does manage to get back up to find Rose, who is just calmly changing into her Ravager armor, with Persuader finding her calmness interesting while also boosting about her own powerful axe, but Rose still is able to take her down. In fact, Rose takes on the entire team by herself. This is a very good issue for Rose Wilson fans, although it does end with the Titan's Tower exploding with her and the Terror Titans still inside. Now of course everyone survives, and as the arc goes on, Persuader gets less and less to do. We see her help torture Kid Devil and fight Wonder Girl, but that's really it for issues 58 and 59. Although we do learn that this new Clock King is a bit different than past Clock Kings. He's actually able to see the future and past, having metahuman abilities surrounding time, which will be important and fundamental to Persuader's story going forward as we learn more about her. Although not in this arc, her role in this arc ends with being knocked out by Rose again. She would return in the Terror Titans 6-issue miniseries from the same year, which was a Titan spin-off that would follow Rose actually joining the team. Here we learn more about the Persuader. For starters, her name is revealed in the first issue as Ellis Kimball. Issue 2 shows Persuader and her teammate Dreadbolt having a conversation about Dreadbolt's origin, where it seems to imply a possible friendship between the two, or maybe more. I mean, I'll ship it, but it's a little bit random. Issue 3, however, would reveal Ellis' backstory. She came from a rough family home with no father and a mentally abusive mother. Coming from this, she would train herself into becoming an assassin just as a teenager, becoming a freelance killer for hire, and would go on to kill her own mother once her mom found the truth about her daughter. That alone is far more interesting than I thought the character was actually going to turn out to be, because as origins go, that is actually pretty interesting for a villain. Clock King would approach Ellis, revealing that she is the ancestor of the one-day supervillain the Persuader, leading to her joining the team of the Terror Titans and taking the name for her own, along with the axe, which was actually the axe of the second Persuader, who was from the present day named Cole Parker, who is now dead. Cole Parker was a man from the present who was inspired by the villain of the future to become a villain himself, which technically makes him the first Persuader in Chronicle Order. This actually kinda turns into a bit of a time loop, since Cole Parker became the Persuader because of the future Persuader, but now Ellis is becoming the Persuader because of Cole Parker, and the fact that he had the gear and the axe, which she now takes. But the future Persuader becomes the Persuader because Ellis was the Persuader, meaning it's a time loop. They all become the Persuader because of another person being the Persuader. Don't you love time travel in comics? I mean, I actually do, but it makes things sometimes a bit more complicated than it needs to be. Although at the same time, it's kinda cool. Anyways, the Clock King would then reunite her with her dad, which she actually was excited about, finally getting to meet him. But then the Clock King just straight up murders him in front of her, as a way to try to toughen her up even more as an assassin, and she just seems to kinda get over it? Ellis is shown to be brutal, and doesn't have all that much care for any human life outside of maybe her own, and somewhat her friends of the Terror Titans. She would appear in the entirety of the series, but would be defeated by Ravager once Rose would of course turn on the Terror Titans. She would return in main canon Teen Titans issues 98 to 100 from 2011, where she would be a member of Superboy Prime's Legion of Doom, where Persuader once again doesn't really do all that much. Just being defeated by Ravager again. Rose really doesn't like her. And that's all she wrote in the main continuity. There would be a character in Tiny Titans from 2008 to 2012 named Ms. Persuader, who seems to be a reference to Ellis, as she's also a member of the Terror Titans. The character of Ellis Kimball I think has potential. And while usually the hero the villain often fights can usually be a good thing as a foundation of a threat for that character, Persuader never feels like an actual threat to Rose. Ever. She's often taken down really easily. To where maybe the character should be pinned against someone else, I would say Supergirl due to their link to the Legion. But yet again, she couldn't even touch Rose. Her costume is also a bit out there with some claiming it's BDSM. I don't think it is. I think it's just intentionally meant to be like the female variation of the Persuader costume. I think Persuader also has a pretty solid origin. However, it doesn't really ever come back up. Her motivations and actions have nothing to do with her origin afterwards. Her origin, in fact, could have been completely different or just not explained, and nothing would change with the character going forward, since it's never mentioned or brought back up. I don't think the character has long-lasting potential, but I think the character has potential for a few decent stories. Maybe have her be a solo villain for once, as the character was always on a team. I think the best idea would maybe address the whole time loop of the Persuader legacy. That, I think, could actually be a really interesting story. You could even kill her off at the end of it. But I think there should be at least some sort of story with the character being more in the front focus. Although I doubt that will ever happen. And that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!